Hello and welcome. Digital IDs. Yes, we've got to keep on talking about them because there are some people, rapacious in nature, who are desperate for such an ID system to be rolled out across the UK. And some people, I think they're a little bit naive, are basically saying, well, this will be a good thing. Yeah, you can more easily pay a bill and it will keep us safe from those illegal migrant people. So what's not to like? Well, the issue is that that's how it's being sold. But remember that horse? What was it called again? Can't remember. Trojan. No, can't remember what it was. And that's what I think this is. It is that kind of horse. How soon will it be before you've got to use a fingerprint, because it will be biometric in different ways to scan and check that it is you, facial recognition, etc. And something doesn't work, a door doesn't open, the car doesn't start, you can't access the bank account, you can't travel. Why is that? Well, it could be because of something obvious, could be a glitch. The more complex a system, the more glitchy it's likely to become. But it could also be maybe you dropped some litter. Maybe you, didn't pay a bill. Maybe, heaven forfend, you posted something online that somebody somewhere disagreed with. And the issue also with such a system, this digital ID system, is that in due course it may be impenetrable. It's just the computer says, no, you can't do it. Who do I appeal to? Well, it's all automated. AI? Oh, right, okay, thanks. And yeah, you're telling me I can't travel, but you're also not really telling me what it was that I did that was wrong. Isn't that Kafkaesque? Yes, it is exactly that. You can see how quickly we could end up in such a situation, depending on who was in charge of it. This is the issue. It is the issue that some people are absolutely the wrong people to have their hands on such a powerful platform of control and potentially coercion and potentially censorship. However, this video is meant to be hopeful in nature, believe it or not. I'm going to play you 2 or 3 video clips. Links to the original videos will be in the description to this video. And I think that they are cause for some celebration, not for a lack of vigilance in terms of watching what's going on, but my goodness, there are some people out there who think like you and me. And also in terms of you and me, if you have liked, subscribed, shared any of the videos on this channel, and indeed the previous one to this about digital IDs, I really appreciate it, because I want to make sure that the ideas that we all have are shared and promulgated far and wide, because they're important. It's important that we speak up. And on this channel also, as an aside, you will see that it's not just about digital IDs. It's about us. It's about looking after ourselves and also looking out for those people who may wish to predate upon us, which is why it's a bit of a mixture, but I hope you like that mixture. And also, if you liked specifically and shared that last digital ID video and you like this sort of stuff, then please share this one if you find it useful. So, first clip we're going to look at is a gentleman, Rob Bates by name, who's talking about digital IDs, and he gives an opinion, quite a strong opinion actually. And the interesting thing about Rob Bates is that he has a professional interest in this. He's actually the head. He heads up, this is the UK, in the UK, the Centre for Migration Control. Heads it up. So what's he going to say about this proposed digital ID rollout and system? He's going to love it, right? It's going to help him no end. He's absolutely going to love it. Well, let's listen to what he's got to say.
First, I'm joined by Rob Bates, Director at the Centre for Migration Control. Good morning to you, Rob.
Morning, Matthew. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Are ID cards the key to controlling migration?
I don't know what the intent behind introducing them is, but it certainly won't have any impact on illegal working in this country. When you think that we've just finished the e-visa rollout for foreign nationals anyway, which allows them, whilst employers are conducting right to work checks, to prove their right to work in the UK, you have to kind of think, well, this is already something that is taking place for those that are perhaps more likely to be working illegal. And then we also need to look at the more simple fact that illegal working is something that happens in the black economy, and it's unscrupulous employers not conducting those checks in the first place that is actually leading to this surge of illegal working in the UK. So it's not really something that actually, I think, a mass rollout to every single citizen in the UK will solve at all.
Wasn't that astounding? He's totally against it. It's like, no, I wouldn't do it that way. It's not going to do anything. What are you thinking about doing? What is going on? Did anybody consult Rob Bates? Did anybody ask him, do you think, in the government? Because if they did, they would hear from someone who is extremely well placed. Their expert opinion must, you would have imagined at least, carry a gigantic amount of weight. And if he thinks no, then either they haven't discussed it with him or they have ignored it, or perhaps both. Interesting, right? Let's now hear from somebody else who you may guess how they're going to feel about this proposed digital ID rollout. So this is Veronica Hawking, 38 Degrees, who in conjunction with Big Brother Watch raised the petition to stop or to hopefully stop this rollout. So here's what she's got to say.
As a different and separate conversation about kind of the NHS 10-year plan and about the way that we can use digital tools to improve services in that. But I don't think that correlates with introducing an ID card. What that argument does show, though, Matthew, is the way that very soon this could become mission creep. And an ID card could then suddenly end up creeping into every little bit of our lives, really change the fabric of who we are as a country. And introducing ID like this is not something that the government had a mandate for when they were elected last year.
Again, perhaps no surprise. And yet, she talks about mission creep. She talks about growing arms and legs. So people can see this. It's not just you and me. People can see the dangers and the way this is likely to go, particularly with certain people in charge. Now what I want to do is I want to play you a snippet from an interview with a guy called Louis Mosley. Now, he heads up Palantir, who are a big, very, very well established data management, storage, expert type corporation, organization. Louis heads up the UK part. And recently, Palantir have been involved in working with the NHS, which has caused some controversy because, should it be a private company? What about the protection of records, etc., all that type of stuff. I think it's £330 million is the contract, and Palantir work around the world. So they are a commercial organisation, and so you would imagine that Louis, heading this company up in the UK, he'd be all for digital IDs as well, wouldn't you? I mean, this is a shoe-in. Surely they work with the government. They work with governments. They're bound to go for this. They're going to bite the government's hand off to get involved in this, or are they?
Well, these proposals to introduce a new form of digital ID in the UK are ones that we have been widely linked to online. So many people are talking about Palantir's involvement with that programme, and I want to say that we will not be participating in that.
You will not. So tell me why.
Well, it's actually, the answer is on a couple of levels. One is I have actually personal concerns about digital ID. That's both on a technical level. I think there are other ways of addressing the challenge that we have with engaging with government services online. I think there are ways to improve that wouldn't require a wholesale new form of ID. And I think it does open up the risk of misuse as well. But Also, it's a problem on a corporate level. So Palantir have long had a policy that we will help democratically elected governments to implement the policies they've been elected to deliver. And that does mean that often we are involved in the implementation of very controversial measures. However, digital ID is not one that was tested at the last election. It wasn't in the manifesto.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a clear resounding public support at the ballot box for its implementation. And as you said, we're seeing a wide divergence of views and a lot of controversy around it. So it isn't one for us.
Now, isn't that absolutely fascinating? He says he has some personal issues with this, as well as professional. So there's somebody who could, if they were being greedy and if that's what it was all about and they just ignored morals and ethics, who could just say, we're experts in this, we can do it, we can ensure that the data is safe and everything will be really slick, it will be in real time, it will be powerful, you'll be able to extract different reports from it, etc., etc. But he hasn't done that because he has an issue with it personally. He also has an issue with it professionally. And so those two issues, one would imagine, are partly because of his ethical and moral code and his value set, so the personal part, which means that he says no for that reason alone. Before we get into the professional bit, that personal bit, I mean, I'm extrapolating from what he said, as I've suggested, is to do in part with his values. So in the midst of all the chaos and the pressure, which they're no doubt under, accept this, what are you doing? No. So personally, it goes against his value set. Compare that with the Prime Minister of the UK at the time of making this video, Keir Starmer. Has he stuck to his values? Has he been someone who was intransigent in the face of pressure, no matter what it was, because it went against what he believed? What he held dear in terms of those things that he valued? Absolutely not. So there's quite a contrast here, intriguingly enough, between Louis and Keir. And then in terms of the professional reason, the second reason for not going ahead, to basically walking away from this big deal, that's what they've done, that's what they're doing, is because this is, it's not something that is or was part of the manifesto. It's not something that the public were actually expecting. It's not something there was a demand for. So, my opinion, he's saying that's undemocratic. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that hopeful? Isn't it also hopeful in terms of what Rob said? It's also hopeful, obviously, in terms of what Veronica said. To finish off, we're going to go back to Rob Bates because I want you to really pay attention to this. Here's what he thinks about the fact that the resource, the money, the time may go into something digital in terms of how it would help him or not in his job, in his role.
Guns blazing, singing the praises of them, but I really don't see what this can be apart from a huge white elephant that actually avoids, directing money perhaps towards more immigration enforcement, which is vastly underfunded in this country. If you think that this is going to be costing billions of pounds potentially, you think that's probably better served actually getting boots on the ground and investigating those sort of nail bars and delivery driver companies as well that are more likely to be engaging in these processes.
And again, that's a scathing attack, isn't it? It's partly why I was saying earlier, was this guy consulted? If not, why not? If he was consulted, why on earth are you ignoring him? What is going on? Every way that you look at this proposed rollout, something seems wrong. It's off kilter. It is not being proposed for the reasons that we are being given. Not at all.